Well, hello there. Welcome to the Friday demo. I made it. I'm happy I can do a demo for you. I had my little meeting thing. Went well. That's all I'm going to say about it. But got back in time, so we are doing a demo. I am so excited. I'm going to be using kind of a lot of the colors we just used for our members only chameleon cell demos. I mixed a couple other colors, and we're going to give them a shot doing a similar but different technique. And I'm going to be mixing some coconut oil just right into my paints, and we'll be working with a flip and drag technique, and then I'll use the torch to bring out the cells. So haven't done one of these in quite a while, so I'm excited about it. But welcome everyone. Hey, Carla and Monique have joined us. Awesome to see you. Pat is here. And who else is here? Donna has joined us. Awesome. Great to see you. And all right, LC is here too. Chris is here. Awesome. Karen is here as well. Fantastic. Let's get going. Hope you had a great week, by the way, and have plans for a fun weekend. I've got a canvas ready to go. I've stained it as I've shown you in the membership. So let's go ahead and flip the camera. I'll show you the colors I've got going. And oh, before I do that, behind me is the demo from last week. Those three different blacks and then the white and silver turned out pretty cool, actually. I quite like it. I like working with those, fun to work with those three different like rich black colors. So you can see a lot of different color variations in there. The blacks kind of affected the whites and the silver. So kind of a fun painting. Kind of dig the results. So let's go ahead and flip the camera. I'll show you the color palette for today's pour, and we'll get started. So here we go. Oops, a little high. I'll bring these down. So I've got, here's my canvas. As you can see, I've stained it a magenta color. And this is just so the coconut oil or silicone, if you're using that, doesn't create those white spots in, white canvas spots. So if you have a color down, it helps a lot. It's kind of just a just for safety's sake. It's not absolutely necessary, but it's a nice safety measure. So I've mixed up a magenta up here, and I really don't like most magentas the way they come in the tubes. There's a deep magenta, I think is too deep. A medium magenta is too bright and kind of like a cotton candy color. So I mixed these two together to get kind of a little bit deeper magenta, which I kind of like a little better. We've got our brilliant blue, which we used before. We've got our ultramarine violet from Amsterdam. Gold from Liquitex Basics. Here's just some white and some kind of black, mostly black with a little bit of violet in there. And then that's it. So it's 2 parts glue, 1 part paint, and a squirt of the Artist Loft, maybe like a 1/4 part of the Artist Loft pouring medium. And then we're going to be putting our coconut oil in, and I put my coconut oil in these little dropper, it's like a fine point needle dropper tip, which work great for dispensing your coconut oil. I've put, these had a little less, so I put 3 drops in the gold and the white, and into these more fuller cups I've put 4 drops. And I'm not going to put anything in the magenta, but I'll show you kind of how I mix up the coconut oil in the blue here. So I'm just going to put in 4. You can put 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. I'll put in 5. Why not? Let's go crazy. And then I'll just mix those in. Kind of give them a good stir. And that's about it. Maybe 10 stirs. I don't know. I'm not counting. Just like a good stir, but not, you don't want to like whip and whip and whip and whip and over stir it. So the more you stir it, what we're doing is trying to incorporate the coconut oil in the bulk of the paint, break up those drops a little bit. If we do it too much, we kind of break them apart a little a little too much, and that can result in some smaller cells, but that's debatable. So I've whipped them, I've mixed a lot and gotten large cells. I've mixed a little bit and gotten smaller cells. So it's still kind of like just a rule of thumb. There's no real rhyme or reason to the cells. But so I'm going to avoid putting any into my magenta because I'm going to use some of that as a base coat. And that will provide some additional safety to avoid those white canvas spots. So let's move our colors out of the way. And here we go. And so, oh, by the way, you can get these at, I get these little bottles on Amazon. They come in a pack of like 12 or 20 for maybe $8. There's many different types you can get, but they work really well, and they have a little cap, so you can stick your little cap on it. And so I have coconut oil one, I've got an alcohol one, I've got just a regular silicone one. I've used lots of different things in these little bottles, and they work great. So, all right, so here we go. We've got our canvas, and I've got a cup ready to go. It's got my hole and my tape tab for my flip and drag. And we're going to put in 7.5 ounces or thereabouts of paint. I want to use lots of small layers, so we get a lot of layers of color, which will make some prettier cells, hopefully a lot of multicolored, interesting cells. So I'm going to just scoot the canvas over and just start layering up my paint. And I'll start with a little white. And again, I want to kind of go a light dark kind of combination. But any order is fine. Put a little gold. Maybe a little purple. I'll put my dark in there. Maybe back to the magenta. And this is all the same consistency, the number 1 consistency, so it's on the, the thicker side. The thickest, I like to mix the paints up. Maybe a little more white in there. So I'm just going to be putting in lots of layers, and this will hopefully result in some very pretty cells, multicolored, fun cells when we torch them. So you don't have to do this many layers. I'm kind of going a little overboard, I guess, maybe, but I just want to see what lots and lots of layers looks like. And we're getting close to the top. Let's go with the blue next. Kind of looks like a carnival in there. So, but some of these we'll get some blending, a little bit of blending. Hopefully some cool designs, but I'm not super concerned with the design so much as just getting lots of layers, because the cells themselves should create a lot of the interest in our painting. A little more blue, almost to the line there. Black, a little purple, a little more white, almost out of white, and a little more gold, and I think we've got it. All right, so we've got our 7.5 ounces. We've got about 1,000 layers of paint. And let's put a base coat on here. I'll bring this over. Just a thin base coat. And I'm not going to leave any negative space on this painting. I'm going to tilt the entire canvas, and maybe a little more. So, because the cells, we really want cells to be the focus. And there we go. And I think I'll use my tool to flip our cup. And I'm going to put it right about here. And we'll see what happens. Elsie's got a good question. And she's saying, would that many layers make mud? Well, we'll find out in a moment. But I don't think so. The thicker your paint, the less likely of a chance of it mixing together, blending together. And I didn't do any high pour. I did all kind of floating layers, which kind of separates the paint. And we'll find out if we get any mud. I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think we will. We'll get some blending, of course. But and it also depends on the colors you're choosing. All these colors work pretty well together. They're all analogous, so we're kind of looking at like a red, violet, purple, blue. Those all are right next to each other, so they're all analogous colors. So we're not going to get any mud there. Now, if we had introduced orange or green, then our chances for getting mud are much, much higher. So, but I'm not too worried about mud. But that's a good question. So let me go ahead and flip the camera. You can see the drag part of the old flip and drag a little closer. There we go. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna just pull my tape tab. That's gonna release the air or the vacuum out of our cup. And now I'm just going to kind of move the cup around. Let the paint kind of flow out. Give it a little twirl. It kind of came out rather quickly. I was kind of lifting it a little higher. So what we have is this kind of elongated paint puddle. That's fine. We're going to be just tilting over the whole canvas, so I'm not too worried about it. We've got a couple cells that have popped up already. So I'll flip it back and then we'll do our tilting. I like the design, the shape. We've got some cool blending. I think this is a great starting point to generate some cells. So let's go ahead and expand our paint puddle. I'm going to just go ahead and pour right off the corners right away. I just want to do the tilting part rather quickly. Or, I mean, I don't want to move the paint too much, I should say. Not quickly, but I want to just get the canvas covered as expediently as possible. Just because we got some cells, I don't want to get those all weird looking and overstretched. Kind of has a galaxy feel to it. Just kind of fun. There we go. So I'm just recentering the paint, kind of getting it nice and even on the canvas. And there we go. I think that looks pretty cool. Now we're ready to bring up some fun cells. I think we're off to a good start, I hope. And just cleaning my hands, and then we'll start torching some stuff. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to start high, slowly bring down my torch till I see some activity, and then bring it back up again. So just start here. There we go. And you can kind of see these things pop to life, and they'll take a moment to develop, but they're starting over here. I'm going to kind of work these little kind of clusters. I've got a couple caterpillar looking ones. And you can take your time with this. Instead of torching the entire thing, I like to do some spots, let them develop a little bit, and then kind of continue to see where I want to go next or create more cells. I think I want to create some over here. So some of these little white sparks are little air bubbles popping, and so you'll see some of those, but then you'll also see the actual coconut oil. They look a tiny bit different. So I think I'm going to go over here. And you don't want to get too close, or else you can scorch your paint. Okay. So they're looking pretty good. They're coming along nicely. They'll continue to grow as they start expanding. They're kind of on the smallish side right now, but I think they'll start getting a little larger. We got some cool colors. I like these blue ones. We've got some magenta ones in the blue field. That's kind of cool. Some gold popping up here and there. I think right here I want to get a few more. And yeah, this gold one right here is getting kind of changed by the cells around it. Let's see, maybe over here a little bit. All right, well, things are looking pretty good. We're just going to let that sit for a moment. I kind of like this big one right here. It's very kind of galaxy looking to me. Maybe right over here, just a... We got some cool magenta ones there. So this can take a little while. I'm kind of rushing it a little faster than I normally would, just for the demo. But you can kind of let these things grow a bit and then pick where you want to place your next cluster of cells. I think we might have enough though, especially if they continue to grow a little bit more. But I kind of like the size of these. They're kind of small. It does kind of look like a galaxy pore to me. So there we go. Let's see. I like the other elements that are kind of in here too, like the swirling purple. I like this patch of blue, this kind of patch of white we have moving through there. Yeah, it's kind of a fun painting. Okay. Wish we had a little more color over in this area though, but I'll put a few more in there. And that might be it for cells. Might stop there before it gets too like overly crowded. So let's see here. All right, let me zoom in and you can kind of get a closer look at what we've got going on here. So here we go. Here's kind of like those magenta ones right on the edge. But we've got a wide range of shapes and sizes and a lot of different colors. We got a bunch of different colored ones down in this corner. And we move over and we've got like some darker ones and some blue ones. I like the blue ones a lot. So there we go. That's kind of, it's a pretty colorful painting. Now you could do this in many other ways. You could do just a regular flip cup if you wanted. That will give you a little less of the blending effect that we had in the flip and drag. But just a regular flip cup will work. You could do a ring pour. You could do like the wide ring pour that we did in the members only demo. So there's several ways of getting the paint on the canvas and then torching it to get the fun cells to pop up. So let's see, any questions you might have. I see Donna excuse me, has a question. Yes, 2 parts glue, 1 part paint, and you can use some pouring medium if you want, like an Artist Loft pouring medium or a Liquitex pouring medium. It's not necessary though. And then some water to get the right consistency, like a number 1 or 2 consistency, and then put in some coconut oil or some silicone. So it's a very simple paint formula. And let's see, Chris is asking, have I done a galaxy demo? I haven't really done a demo specifically on like a galaxy pour. The galaxy pour is really, relates to the color scheme you're using. So it's more of like a galaxy color scheme than an entire technique on its own. But and there are many ways to do a galaxy pour. This is a good way. Is like a flip and drag, just a flip cup. A floating cup is a great way to do a galaxy pour, but I haven't done a specific one though. That might be a fun thing to try out. And Lily is asking, do buyers tend to purchase paintings with lots of cells? It all depends on the buyer. Everyone is different. But you got to remember what is out in the market, and like cells, there are a lot of paintings that have cells, and I'd say the color scheme is a huge part of it, the type of cells. So it really depends. There's no definitive answer on that one, Lily. So good question though. Okay, let me flip back here and see if there are any other questions you might have before we break. I'll keep an eye on this. Again, these cells will continue to grow for maybe the next 10 minutes. So we can take a look at it when it's dry. I think it's kind of a fun painting. But and Donna's got a question. Can you use any PVA glue, or does it need to be Elmer's? I haven't really used glue before. Pretty much, well, most PVA glues will work, but you want to test it out first, because not all PVA glues work with acrylics. I've used a couple really cheap ones, if you use like a really cheap school glue, it can just turn into like a gummy, rubbery mess. But I would say most PVA glues will work, but I'd give it a small test first. So mix up a small batch of paint, see how it works, if you can get it to a fluid consistency with that number 1 consistency, and see how it goes. But I'm sure you can find a PVA glue that will work for you, Donna. So, and I've used many different types. Amazon makes a PVA glue, if you would believe it. It works good. Michaels makes one that works pretty good. It's a little thicker than Elmer's, but it still works. So I've used several different types, and they all seem to work. But I have run into a couple that don't work. So just give it a test. Okay. Any final questions? And I'm just checking and see if I missed anything. And Carla's asking, are they in your shop? Oh, probably the little bottles. Yeah, like these little bottles. Yeah, you could find those in my shop, I think, my Amazon store. There's lots of weird stuff in there now. But yeah, they're in there. If you go to, read the directions on the home page of the store. Go to the painting supplies. That should lead you there. But you could also just type in needle bottle, needle squirt bottle, something like that. You'll be able to find probably lots of different ones. And because they're always changing, like the brands change, so I think you'll be able to find them. Okay, so no other questions. So, well, thanks for joining me, everybody. This was kind of a fun painting. I love working with glue and silicone and creating cells like this. Kind of one of my favorite types of cells are the glue cells. They're just really fun paintings to create. So give them a shot, and I will see you next time. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.